I will call the meeting to order. Let me hand out a few things here that, and we're gonna get one more thing from the judge. Judge is going to be meeting with us. Judge Potter for sure. So there's that. If you want an agenda, you don't have to keep going back. No, that's two sheets. That's what I said. We'll use people together. Yep.
Not making that up. That they actually said
One more of these, Bill?
Yeah, I don't have to go.
When you get a job, I'm gonna take off. I'll zoom in there.
Are you sure they got their mask on tight?
We're on the first and second floor, we don't have to.
Well, you got the third floor unless you're in your room.
Yeah, we're not up here now.
Someone sitting here already?
No.
Or you just spread out there?
Spread out.
Okay.
My favorite one. You too. Yeah. Yeah. I saw a guy with a mask on, I had an arrow pointing down, and the shirt said, "I'm Steve, remember me?"
Yeah, Joe, we're just handing out some things here, like the agenda and a resolution.
I already got one, so they can.
I got one.
No. I read it.
This has got Gary Allward in it.
It says back when the Dead Sea was sick.
How come that speed gets to have a nice green light?
Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. The first agenda item is public comment. Anybody knows that we can have public comment now or at the time the items are on the agenda. So who is, I have to look to see who's on here is.
We have Olivia Chastain, Jennifer Cummings, Mary Anderson, Supervisor Joe Zerflu, and Steve Krell are the ones that I see. There may be more beyond that, but I don't see each yet.
Is there anybody's name that is on there you didn't hear?
I'm not sure if my name was called Jonette Arms.
Yeah, Bill, I can run down the names, the list here. I have myself and Jennifer Cummings, Jeanette Arms, Supervisor Zerflu, Mary Anderson, Olivia Chastain, and Steve Prell. That's what I have on the list here.
Okay. So that who is attending the meeting? And here we have the, let's go around and just introduce ourselves. My name is Bill Clendenning, Chairman of the committee.
Ken Curry, Supervisor, District 11.
Ed Wagner, Supervisor, District 4.
Judge Wolf, Branch 3.
Bill Lightnum, Supervisor, District 19.
Judge Potter, Branch 1.
Peter Caston, Holtz Court Counsel.
Lance Plumel, Wood County Board, District 16.
If there's no questions on the previous two meetings minutes, the chair will declare them approved. Is there any questions, additions? Hearing none, the chair has approved those minutes as presented. So we'd like to move up on the agenda with, there's no objection to first of all, we'll go to item number 7, which is Fourth Circuit Court Judge in Wood County. There was a meeting held today at noon on this issue, and I guess I'll let Lance first, cause he called that meeting, and Lance will just present that meeting that we had, and then we'll have the judges discuss it.
Sure, Bill, thank you. A while back, we moved way up on the judiciary need list. A number of years ago, we passed a resolution that would approve that additional 4th branch. So we're moving in that direction. So the judges had a meeting. We asked what the judicial need was. Did it still exist? Does it appear that will exist in the future? When we did our planning in the courthouse and the remodeling a while back, we anticipated this would be coming. It is moving forward, and I think the anticipation, I'll let the judges go that way, this would be about a 2023 project as we come up the list, but So it's my take that the resolution that was passed in 2014 doesn't sunset unless it was superseded by another resolution. So I guess from my perspective, we're looking at moving this direction. And the judges will fill you in on the need and what they see as the future of the court system.
I should have brought down the list, I think Judge Wolf has it, but right now we're currently number 5 on judicial need. And these are numbers that are developed by the state, so it's not something that we create. And I got it here, thank you. Anyway, the 4 counties in front of us are all in line to get a judgeship in the next 2 years. And a couple of the ones below us are also in line to get judicial bench or additional judges. The only one that I'm aware of, or 2 are, is Lang Lake County was supposed to get one, but their county board wouldn't financially support it. And I'm not sure if Brunette is in line for it. And I know 2 years ago when we had the resolution, we looked at the numbers. We indicated that at that time we didn't think that we were in need of a 4th judge. I can tell you that the state was always questioning us a number of times, saying, "Are you sure you don't need one? You sure you don't need one?" We said no, and approximately a month ago they came to us and they said another judgeship's become available. Are you in need or not? And that's when the 3 judges sat down and we were unanimous at saying that we felt the 4th branch was necessary.
Does anybody have any questions on that? No, go ahead, Supervisor Flagler.
Judge Potter, thank you for this, but you think part of our need is growing because we're looking at a lot of diversionary courts too? Is that part of it?
Well, I can tell you that we look at it as number 1, we have additional prosecutors. As a result of that, we're anticipating more crimes being charged out. We're anticipating more jury trials. Additionally, we have a local attorney who does mediations on all family cases. We suspect, and he has a high resolution rate of probably 90%. If he ever leaves that position, we assume that that percentage is going to drop down drastically. The person before him basically had a 0% resolution rate. His alternate, that is, if he's got a conflict, he has a 0% resolve rate. Also, we have Family Court Commissioner Weymouth on board. He's very efficient, probably has the most experience in family law of any attorney within the county. He's going to be turning 70 in a couple of weeks, and we anticipate, obviously, that he's going to be not going to be sticking around forever, obviously, and at some point in time, we're going to be bringing someone else in. How experienced are they going to be? And that all comes into play.
And just one other question. How does the new criminal justice coordinator fit into this team of 4 branches?
Well, for a 4th judge, he really doesn't come into play, but what you're still looking at is other possibilities for other types of courts. We have drug court going on. You could have an OWI court, veterans court, juvenile court, a number of things like that. So obviously, anytime you have a new court system like that, a judge has to be part of that group or part of that committee to be involved in. Obviously, that now will get dispersed between 4 instead of 3.
Yes, go ahead, Supervisor Curry.
Couple questions. Sure. Would this have an impact on the district attorney's office?
No.
Well, just the opposite, since they got approved for 2 extra positions, so now you have the DA, 5 assistants?
Correct.
So actually, the need was there in the DA's office as well, they got the positions, so we're actually kind of trying to catch up to them, because now they have the assistants to be able to handle 4 courtrooms easily with 6 attorneys in their office.
And the other one's a what if, but, so we've approved the deal for the 4th judge, and in a year or 2 or 5 years, we find we don't need it, what happens then?
Put it this way, when you put in and indicate that you're willing to have a 4th judge, certain things have to take place. For example, you have to have the facilities, the county board has to be willing to provide all the necessary equipment and staff and whatnot. If they're not willing to do that, then obviously you won't get the 4th judge. Now, I can tell you in history, there has only been one time, I believe, where a county had a judge and lost them by attrition. And that judgeship was then transferred to a different county. So it's only happened once.
Well, how long have we been in the top probably 5 in this state for needing a judgeship? I think that's happened well before I got in there. It probably was being back in Judge Mason, Judge Conway, Judge Zappin. I think we've always had a judicial need. It's just, I think we kept absorbing the work and keeping our head above water. It wasn't the best way to run the judges, but that's what was happening. And the best way I can say it is there's a lot of stuff that as a judge I do outside, like when I'm hunting, I read all my case law stuff I'm supposed to be keeping myself educated on during work hours that I'm doing outside of work hours, that just do it because you work, you're working every possible one day every 15 minutes or every half an hour you have something set. So just because we made it work doesn't mean it was the right way of doing it either. So
And additionally, Judge Wolf is a judge for drug court. And when he's in drug court, if he's on duty, then the other 2 of us are picking up his intake and whatever else is necessary, just so that he can keep drug court going.
Right.
Okay, does anybody else have any? Yes, go ahead, Supervisor
Just a
Whiteman.
procedural question for you, sir. Would it be appropriate for us to enter into the minutes that we reaffirm the resolution from 2014?
Yes, and I was gonna ask Peter that, because in this it says, financial note, that probably would not be the same as now, the financial note. But is it all right that we approve that this resolution is, what can we say?
If I can respond.
Okay, go ahead.
I think you're probably better off just moving on from the resolution and indicating that the committee takes a motion in support of the 4th judge commencing 8/1, whatever, August of 2023, and to have the attendant arrangements for that position pursued, which is going to be both staff down the road in the future, but you don't have to worry about a budget year until 2022, preparing for 2023, and then the space needs and so on. So something general saying supported, I think, is appropriate.
Sure, your motion is to what he said, huh?
Yeah, put in the minutes what he said. We reaffirm our support for it effective 8/1/23, and that encourage staff to prepare for the necessary logistics for handling it.
Okay, seconded by Supervisor Curry. Any discussion on the resolution? Any way the public wish to discuss? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And
Aye.
those opposed? And those opposed? The ayes have it, it is unanimous, thank you. Motion has
Thank
passed.
you very much, appreciate it.
Yes. Okay, now just one more housekeeping here is I would like to take off the agenda because Peter and when we went over the agenda, I'd like to take off item number on the, oh boy. The one that's, okay, item number 8. I really see no reason for item number 8 that was discussed at the last meeting and it just was left on the agenda. So I'll be taking that off. But there is a criminal justice coordinator report in here. Okay, and is there somebody in the public that wanted to discuss rule number 12? Okay,
Yes,
hearing that.
Olivia Chastain, I would like to make a comment on that if possible.
Okay, go ahead, make a comment on that, but we are not discussing that right now. If you want to wait, that'll be fine, but if you want to make a public comment on that, please do so.
I can wait if that's
Okay.
easier.
All right, then I would like to move up with, without objections, the part where the resolution for ADRC would be 9B is a resolution that is before you. It's 9B in our agenda. And I forgot the page it's on, but that's it. So it's what I'd like is discussion from people from ADRC as to why you think that this committee should pass a resolution supporting the ADRC. My point is, to this effect, is the fact that this to me sounds like an association of the clerks, an association of the clerk of courts. And we in this committee do not support resolutions from associations or something like that. That's why I tried to get this particular resolution to go through the Health and Human Services Committee so they can bring it to us so we could send it to our legislators. Please tell us why you think that this board should make a motion to send this resolution to the county board.
Good afternoon, Chair, and thank you to you and the entire committee for even allowing us to put it on your agenda. We did ask that it initially go to the Human Services Committee, but we were asked then to bring it to your committee for discussion. I really wanted to leave it to the board chair to direct me on where to present this information. We do have 3 other counties that we have presented this resolution before, and 2 took it through, well, 1 took it through their Health and Human Services Committee, the other took it through their Social Services Committee and their Board of Health, and the other one took it through their Legislative and Administrative Committee because they don't have Health and Human Services Committees. This is an important resolution that impacts the ADRC and how we will be able to continue to operate in the future. And I do have a very short presentation because I think giving some history and some specifics around why we're asking for this money would be helpful to the entire committee. And at that time, either maybe you will decide that you will vote and send it through to the full board, or you may want us to go back to Health and Human Services. I'm not sure, but time is of the essence because the governor has already submitted his budget and the legislature is getting ready or in the process of reviewing the budget and taking into consideration these asks that we have. So if you will allow, may I make my short presentation?
And please make it short. I'll just say that this is the second time this has been through this committee. And one of the things is I am a member of the ADRC, and I asked that somebody from the Finance Committee come and join our meeting last month on this, and nobody showed up. So I'm not happy about that, but go ahead and please make it short.
Okay, and I will say this, that it would have been me, and I didn't show up because I did not know the date. And I did inform you of that, Chair. So thank you for allowing me to present to you today. I hope everyone can see my presentation on, let me see. I'm trying to get this back on the big screen. Oh my goodness. Can you see my presentation?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So this is the Wisconsin ADRC Reinvestment Initiative, and I have with me here today Jennifer Cummings, our Director of Aging and Wellness, and Steve Prale, the Director of Fiscal Services. The reinvestment resolution that you have before you, we are specifically asking for $2.4 million to help equalize historical funding disparities and to fully fund contracted services that we are required to provide through the state. So we're contracted under the state to provide certain services, and there have been no changes in the funding. And we are also asking for an additional 25 million to add critical services to all ADRC operations. This resolution is supported by the Aging and Disability Professionals Association of Wisconsin, the Great Lakes Intertribal Council, the Wisconsin Aging Advocacy Network, the Wisconsin Counties Association, who actually drafted the initial resolution, and also the Wisconsin Human Services Association, and our leadership at the state, the Wisconsin Department of Health Services Bureau of Aging and Disability Resources. The history and benefits of the ADRCs is that Wisconsin Family Care was piloted in 1996, and it was a major redesign under the Tommy Thompson's administration. There were concerns because services were fragmented, there were institutional biases, the cost of these services were going through the roof, and there was just a strong desire to improve the system. They wanted to give people better choices about where they could live and the kinds of services and supports they could get to meet their needs, and also improving access to these services. They also wanted to improve the quality through a focus on health and social outcomes for older adults and people with disabilities, and creating, which I think is most important to all of us, a cost-effective system for the future. So in 1998, family care required two new entities, a single point of entry, that would be the Aging and Disability Resource Center, and the Care Management Organization. So many people are familiar with Family Care, IRIS, and the care management organizations that help implement those services. ADRCs, we address the fragmentation by bringing everything together under one roof. We streamline eligibility and information channels through our single point of entry for older adults 60 years plus and individuals with disabilities 18 to 59 years old. The history and benefits of ADRCs also includes stakeholders who want to reduce unnecessary institutionalization by expanding home and community-based services, ensuring, again, customer choice, quality, and flexibility of services. We offer an avenue for disseminating information about home and community-based services to members of target populations and their caregivers. We assist with preventing unnecessary institutionalization. Nursing home use has gone way down since ADRCs have been around. Many nursing homes have closed because we're keeping people in their homes, in the community, at a lower cost. We're ensuring future sustainability of long-term care programs by encouraging individuals to plan for long-term care needs before a crisis occurs. We are reducing the tax dollar cost for nursing home care by connecting the target population to supports that allow them, again, to remain in community settings for as long as possible. We are unbiased, we provide reliable information and counseling to individuals within our populations, and we assist not only the individuals that we consider our customers, the older adults and people with disabilities, but we help their family caregivers. We help neighbors. We support the entire community by providing information and directing people where to go. ADRCs are required by state to provide contracted services, and those services are listed as information and assistance to targeted populations, their friends, families, caregivers, and the public, long-term care counseling and advice to members of target populations and their families about options available to meet long-term care services and benefit specialist services. So we help people with those complicated insurance issues or state benefit programs. We triage services, which links individuals in crisis to needed services or facilitating immediate pre-enrollment into care management organizations. We work with elder abuse and adult protective services by helping to identify those issues. And through our resource center, we refer people to those services and they refer people back to us. We provide transition services for young adults to make parents of children with disabilities aware of family care benefits as children become eligible at the age of 18. So we're going into schools and we're talking to parents, we're talking to teachers, we're talking to students. We do prevention and early intervention utilizing health promotion activities as public education, which has been proven to help decrease the prevalence of disabilities. We do functional eligibility for family care, and we do pre-admission counseling and pre-admissions counseling for the CMOs. And this is not a comprehensive list of all the services we provide.
I think you presented enough. Is there somebody else going to speak on this? Nobody else.
I have not been able to talk about the, I'm just getting to the actual numbers.
I know I asked you to keep it short. I think you could have shortened this a little more. But the fact is that you presented this to the Counties Association, and the Counties Association, in my opinion, talking to Lance today about this, is the fact that the Counties Association is dealing with the legislators to try to get you more money. Now, we're the only county that hasn't really presented a resolution to send down there and add to their stack of resolutions that they're getting. So now, right now, I want to know the committee, if you have a motion on this, to go ahead with it, or not to. Anybody want to make a motion to present this resolution to the county board?
Mr. Chairman,
to... Yes, and who are you? Please identify yourself.
Joe.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Zerflu will make that motion to present this to the county board. I think it's too important to not make an attempt to show our support.
Okay, is there a second to that motion? Did I see? Is there a second?
Second, yeah.
Oh, yeah, so, okay, Supervisor Wagner. Okay, well, I'll have discussion on it. And why, you said, Joe, because you think it's important to send it on. Any other discussion?
It's a proven fact, Mr. Chairman, if I can, that this organization, just like others that do this work, are saving the taxpayers some money by doing it this way, instead of it being 100% funded simply and solely by the taxpayer. Just looking at the Wisconsin Rapids branch here, and it's our senior center and whatever is, excuse me, is showing that they're really helping and getting our senior citizens involved. And I just think that the more pressure Madison hears, especially our beloved local representatives, they will take some affirmative action and get this thing going and pass so these folks can have the funds that they need to deal with. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else wish to comment? Go ahead, Supervisor Lightman.
Okay, so the resolution that we're looking at, the 8th whereas, so it's down toward the bottom of the first page, says that dollars are distributed based on the date of ADRC establishment. Older ADRCs receive more funding than those established at a later date. I'm concerned about that. Why isn't there some equity in how funds are distributed?
Can somebody answer that question from ADRC? Did you hear the question?
Yes, I did. And thank you. That was a part of my presentation that I was going to touch on. So we are I think they consider us a Generation 3 ADRC. And what happened was when ADRCs first became a part of the system in 1998, they were pilots, and everyone was brought in phases. So ADRCs who started out earlier did not receive as much money, and as more ADRCs came in, they were receiving a little bit more money for funding. And that's just the way it was set up. There was no equity in how ADRCs were funded. We're a regional ADRC, so we have I think a Generation 3, a Generation 2 ADRC, and then we have we have Lincoln and Langley that are part of our region that just were somewhat grandfathered in and not a part of a generation. So we are quite underfunded for the services that we provide, the populations that we serve, and it's not taken into accountability poverty levels, rural distribution, and also minorities and the growing population, of course.
Supervisor Lightman, does that answer your question?
Yeah, maybe you can hear me better now. So is the WCA draft resolution, is that addressing this issue to provide equity?
Yes, sir. The draft resolution that was put together is they came up with a formula. And those entities that I listed at the beginning of my presentation, along with other ADRC director representatives across the state, they were a committee or a team that came together to look at the reallocation and what the reinvestment should be. And they came up with a formula that takes into accountability the age distribution and population, equity among minority groups. It does look at us as a rural community, and it does take into account the overall population. So it is more of an equal distribution of the funding among ADRCs across the state, rather than what they had before. And I will let you know that if we are offered this just under the 27.4 million dollars, our ADRC alone would receive over $900,000 in addition to what we already receive. Our counties do not pay anything toward the ADRC services that we provide. We do receive tax levy from our counties, but that goes only to the aging side of the ADRC, not to the ADRC side. We have never, since 2006, received an increase in the funding for our ADRC side through the state.
Okay, does that answer your question?
Maybe one more question. So this additional $900,000 that our ADRC would receive, in your estimation, what would complete equity involve? Would it be $2 million?
No, it would be for us. Equity would be that $950,974 for our ADRC, because it would allow us to provide the essential services that we are supposed to provide under contract for the state. So across the state, we need $27.4 million so that all ADRCs receive the funding. But for us, that would give us 950,000 or almost 951,000. And that just lets us provide the services at the level that we should be providing them with the population size that we have.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to present this to the county board, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody opposed? Nobody opposed, it's unanimous. It'll go to the county board. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Did you get a name, Judy, on that?
I wouldn't sure.
I think it's the director.
It is. Yes. You could ask.
Okay, we're going to move one more item up without objections because this person has other things to do. I think it's,
No laughing in the future.
yeah. Number 12, we're going to go to. Is the, rule number 12.
Rule number 12.
Is before us right now. Do you think, Supervisor Lightman, that this is ready to be presented, or do you think more should be added? What would you like us to do on this resolution? Because you have worked with Peter on it.
Yeah, I would like to see a little bit more committee discussion, but I think that can be had today.
Okay, so that person from the public, would you like to state your case, please? First, your
yes.
name.
Olivia Chastain.
And
okay. So I just want to express my concerns over the proposed changes to the rules for public comments. First and foremost, I don't support the draft resolution in the packet for the meeting today, and I ask you to consider my concerns and oppose these changes as well. Language is so important, and changing the word shall to may seem like a small change, but it makes a really big difference, and that worries me. I want you to keep in mind that you're here to represent the people of Wood County, and how many community members have you consulted with about these proposed changes? No matter what the issue is, you need feedback in order to represent the community effectively. And potentially taking away the ability to offer public feedback at a meeting takes away an avenue for the public to offer real-time opinions on matters that you're about to vote on. To say there are other avenues isn't always realistic either, because if their time is short, you can't email them. And I have emailed county representatives before and not gotten a response, even if I emailed them with enough time. And I have worked in a virtual setting for over 5 years, so I know well that there are struggles that come with virtual meetings. But I expect more from public servants who are elected to represent my community than taking away public comments at public meetings. If you intend to do virtual meetings forever, then I can see that some changes might need to be made. But if not, at the very least, shouldn't this rule change only apply to virtual meetings or have an end date in mind? And I'm going to assume that your intentions with a rule change are good and at the very least innocent. But while we can hope for the best, I think we need to plan for the worst. What if the next group of public servants sitting in your seats don't have those same good intentions as you do? And if you change these rules, you open the door for that, and there's no promise that future committees will allow public comments at all. Our founding fathers knew well the saying that no taxation without representation. So I ask you to please don't take away an effective form of representation because there are current challenges. Find another way, because there has to be one out there. Thank you.
I would hope you would not believe that this board, this county board, or this committee made this resolution up to prevent from any citizen from speaking to us. We are very open. I've been in this for a while, and I will say that we are very open. As a matter of fact, I serve on a town board and another county board I have. And the thing of it is Some places don't even allow public comment at all. So, and we're trying to open this up so we get public comment. I think to think that we're not opening it up and we're trying to hush the people is not right. Anybody else got any? Yes.
I've got on page 31, the number 1, public comments must be related to written agenda. No one will be permitted to speak of non-agenda items. I've got a problem with that. I don't think it, you should be able to come and say whatever, well, within reason, whatever you want about anything. I'll give the example I had when I read this, and I'm not looking at the red part. If I want to show up at every county board meeting and complain about taxes, that should be my right as a, within the time limits that are established. I don't think it should have to be on an agenda item. And that's just one. I understand where it can get out of hand, where you bring up some. One example I gave the other day was, I remember in the time I've been on here, a guy got up and talked about Sharia law, which was irrelevant to the agenda or probably anything that was going on. But he should have that ability to do that, in my mind.
So if you think the public can come in here and talk about anything that is not on the agenda is all right, but a board member or a committee member cannot do that. Because that person would be shut down by the chair saying, that's not on the agenda, we can't discuss that. But we have on our agenda other items to be discussed and we could put it on there. Okay, that's just my thoughts. Peter, do you have a comment on that, or wouldn't you like to comment?
Always, Mr. Chairman. So if you note that on that resolution, I put some question marks after that provision. I recall the gentleman wanting to talk about Sharia law, and that really wasn't relevant to anything that had gone on, was going on, or would go on with Wood County. But there is a logic to having the members of the public who aren't familiar with how things work in the county government, to have them come in and say, I don't like what's going on with respect to this. And then it might not be a topic of discussion, but then someone would be able to get back to them and say, okay, this is something that's for the committee that oversees the highway, so we're going to route it to them, ask them to put it on their agenda so you can share your concerns with them. Or that someone to get back to them, possibly the chair, saying, well, this isn't something that we deal with. This is, if it's Sharia law, we don't deal with that. If it's a problem with a city road, we don't deal with that. The city does, so you may want to contact them. So I can see people wanting to communicate that, and the committees and county board recognizing that because someone brings it up doesn't give you the ability to enter into a discussion with regards to it, but it allows them somewhat of an outlet to express their concerns to their elected officials. So to summarize, I support Supervisor Curry's comment that we ought to get rid of number 1 in the current rule under number 12. So the public comment must be related to a written agenda item. For instance, if I could just go on a little further, as I want to do, if in fact this committee, which it does, oversees the committee structure or the number of supervisors of the county board, and someone says, I want more direct representation, we ought to go back to having 38 supervisors. So my supervisor gets to know who I am, and I'm not just one of too many people type of thing. Well, how do they get that on an agenda? If you don't put it on there, they can never get it on there. And so I can see where they'd say, oh, I want to make this point, and then say that they've made the point, and not then allow supervisors who are running for election next time to say, well, this issue never came up type of thing. Well, I tried to bring it up. So I think there's some validity to members of the public being able to express concerns and then the committee members, committee chair being able to say, well, that doesn't pertain to our business, or it does. We will be discussing this at the next committee meeting because it pertains to this committee. So those are my thoughts, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Supervisor Wagner.
Okay, so when I was looking at this,
The other way.
The other Wagner.
Doesn't worry, he does it all the time.
so am I up or is Supervisor?
You're up, go ahead, go ahead. Jeez.
So,
You've been stepped on before.
I just heard corporate counsel say we're considering striking number 1 from the existing Rule 12. I think it's 1C or something. Might it be better for us to inform the public that they have other options? For instance, we're really looking at, in Rule 12, public comment before a county board, public comment before a committee, or public comment before a committee's public hearing. So if the public knew they had other options, then that makes this less onerous, I would think, to them. I think we need to educate our public that yes, you will always be heard. You could always call your county board supervisor, and they could take it to the committee. I think it's almost on it's the responsibility of our Rule 12 to state where the public has input. And then that would have to be communicated in some other fashion, or I'm not quite sure how you do it. But by all means, we are not trying to exclude public comment. Does that make sense to the rest of the committee? I take that as a no.
Well, it isn't.
Go ahead, Supervisor Curry.
Stop crosstalk here. I'm sorry, Mr. White.
Just go ahead, I'll just pretend you're.
No,
Right.
I don't think my comments were to say no, but look, I'll give another example. Look at the county board agenda. There's very little stuff in the actual agenda. It's in the packet. And to have the public understand how, this is an agenda where we've got, for this meeting, we've got specific items, but the agenda for the county board meeting, most of the time, has very little on it. We as supervisors know that the packet is part of that, and maybe inside that packet, there's a direction to what the public can comment on. But I think, to me, public comment should be more, not the word fair, but more open than to allow that to happen, the public to speak. By saying that, by putting restrictions on it, it looks like we're trying to stifle the public rather than allow it to speak. That's my point.
Go ahead, Supervisor Wagner. I see you just got here.
Okay.
I got one more thing.
Okay, in the structure of Rule 12, Section C is dealing with committees, and Section B is dealing with the county board. So that basically we're dealing with two separate venues that it could be done on. First of all, I'll have to ask the corporate counsel, was there any specific legal reason or something to protect the county from liability as changing the word shall to may? Was there any particular reason for doing that?
It wasn't a legal reason.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. The other thing I'm saying, the whole idea of the board meeting is to present or board or committee meeting is to allow the citizens to deal with something that's on their mind that, in generally speaking, is something that's a present and pressing issue before the board or the committee. I can understand why the wish is to limit it to agenda items, because we're trying to run orderly meetings generally, and then we try and keep the subject moving and keep on topic. I don't I don't want the citizen comments to be seen or used like karaoke night. I don't expect us to see it being run like that. I do think we've got to make sure that we are mandated to listen to the public, to give them a spot to do that. I think we can perhaps regulate it by time limits, so that we can at least get the topic out, and then as any supervisor, whether on the board floor or in a committee, can say, hey, this citizen just raised a really good concern. I want this on the next agenda, or I want it to go to highway and infrastructure. And I want to get that in the minutes that it's being referred. I want it reflected in the minutes and referred to the committee. I think we can do it that way. My thoughts were also on how do we handle virtual, because I think we're still going to be dealing with virtual meetings for a long time. And how do you handle citizen comments at a virtual meeting? But after the citizen comments are made, it's the members of the board or the committee themselves that have to decide on the issues after they've heard the comments. And that the public is not really allowed or wanted to participate in the debate by the committee. That's our job. That's what we're elected for. And I'm trying to figure out how to do that. How to do that in such a way that they're not having an open mic during the time that we're doing deliberations on a particular subject or another. And I don't know. I think this needs more. That part of it needs more work, and it's something that needs to go back and come up with some ideas at a later date. So having said that, I will yield the floor to the distinguished chairman.
Go ahead, Supervisor Curry.
Okay, thank you. I guess when I'm sitting here reading it right now, so let's go real life. We've started the county board meeting, the county board chair calls for public comment. How is he gonna know what the person's gonna say?
He doesn't.
He doesn't.
Well, but we're gonna rely on the public and then have the chair say, the minute I stand up and say, well, I want to make this speech about the taxes are too high. That's not on the agenda. You can't say that. So now we've. I got one more question before.
Hey, let me just correct your other one though. You said, doesn't this county board chair say public comment on items that appear on the agenda?
Well, but that has never been said before.
Oh, I think it's even written that way.
I'd have to go back.
If I could make a
Yeah.
point, guys, there's B and there's C, and B is the county board process, and C1 was the one where there's the public comment related to written agenda, and that's the one we're talking about before, as far as, you know, do you have that limitation or not? And I recommend you don't, but Ms. Chastain was talking about several issues. Some as far as under B, the changing shall to may as far as allowing people to speak. So I think it really helps if you identify which part of the rule you're talking about, because that limitation under C1 doesn't apply to the county board. It just applies to the committees. My understanding.
I had one more comment.
Go ahead, please.
So I think that's a good clarification. So B is committee meetings, and C only takes in for county board.
Just the opposite.
Just the opposite.
Just the opposite?
B is county board, C is committees. So B for board, C for committee.
All right, well, with that clarification, so where you've got the red, you're proposing you get rid of one altogether?
Yes.
And that getting rid of one altogether in C, or is that in C2? Is that right? Or in C?
See,
Yeah, in C, it's, the hard part about that is that's going to open up stuff that the committee the committee may not have jurisdiction over.
If I could respond to that, Mr.
Yeah.
Chair.
go ahead, certainly, go ahead.
And that's right. So, say Ms. Chastain here, wanted to talk about potholes on the county highway, and she said, well, I also want to talk about this. And then that would be an opportunity for the chair to say that that's something that you need to address with the Highway Infrastructure and Rec Committee. This is the chairman of that committee. You can contact that person for that issue. Or the committee could say, well, why don't you just refer it on, Mr. Chairman, and we'll ask them to set it on their agenda. So I think members of the public will not know what the jurisdiction of the various committees are, but it shouldn't prevent them from coming in and talking for a minute or two, and the chair can limit that discourse, and so that you can then route them onto the right spot.
Well, I got another comment. I do it in real life, but I'm thinking as a chairman of C, and it was probably a year or so ago, or maybe longer, we had 2 or 3 individuals show up. I didn't know any of the people. And during the meeting, I asked for public comment, they didn't say anything. I run into them after the meeting, and they had a problem with their water. And I don't know what, I said, well, you should come to a meeting, and that committee, we allow a little more latitude as far as when you can speak on an issue. But there probably was never a specific issue about their complaint or their concern on the agenda. So they could talk. But you could say there was a general deal under water. We always talk about water under C, but not under their specific items. That's where I can see the public feel they're being restricted in bringing this stuff up.
Let's go ahead, Supervisor Laitman.
So that gets back to my original comment about educating the public as to where they have access to their county board members, county board committees. If they were better educated that they could always come to a C meeting or a judicial legislative meeting, where they could call their supervisor, before a meeting, I think we'd be a lot farther ahead. The problem is this: I remember I think it was an Amish buggy issue that we had a public hearing maybe in 2014 or 2015 that came before J&L, and there were, 30 people in the audience, and they all had access in that public hearing. And I think they were satisfied with their access. The problem becomes at a county board meeting when there's 27 people all wanting 3 minutes, and we have business to transact as a county board. At what point do we get to our business 2.5 hours later because of extended community input during public comment? All they need to know is where they have access. I think they're gonna get it. Maybe we as supervisors understand that better than the general public. So again, I'm trying to make that same point.
I don't disagree with your education part, but you talk about a monumental task. It just isn't going to happen to have the public understand how we operate, how the county board operates.
So then
but that you might be making a better point for the changing of the word shall and may. Shall, if you're reading that in county board under B, shell right now would allow them for 27 people to use their 3 minutes. Is that the fear here? I don't know. I've been on this board for 9 years now, and there's the Amish buggy deal, the vaccine deal, and the
Manure spreading.
Yeah, water was an issue.
well, we had water, but that wasn't, and what was the last one on, making the gun rates deal?
Number 2.
Second Amendment.
Second Amendment deal. Those were the 3, in 9 years, those were the 3 major public trying to access county board. And I don't deny the time we used up, but that was used up on that thing. But those are 3, the rest of the time, there's 1 or 2 people that might get up.
You know what this whole thing is pointing to? If we want to be very specific and give a specific venue to people who need to make comments, that there, I could foresee a special session before every county board meeting. Set aside a half an hour or 45 minutes and have the three or four supervisors sit and hear public comments. People come up and speak for whatever they want. And then basically they can make a report to the county board and say, this needs to be referred here, this needs to be referred there, and this is something we need to put on another agenda. And they can do it like that. Like we could have a half hour open session before the county board meeting where people could say whatever topic, no agenda, just citizen comments, period. We could do that if we wanted to. If you wanted it, in that way we have we've given them the citizens a venue. If we are not limiting them, we may have to limit their time and we may have to limit time depending on how many people. Like if there's one person and we've set aside a half hour to do it, we'll let the one person talk as long as he wants. If there's 10 people in there, he gets 3 minutes. Each one gets 3 minutes. I mean, that's the kind of thing, that's the kind of rule you can make. And if you want to give citizens open access to the government, that's an easy way to do it.
Anybody else? Go ahead, Supervisor Lane.
So I like the train of thought where this is going when I hear 30 minutes mentioned. I don't know if I like the idea of 3 supervisors sitting, as a court to decide where public comment goes, but it's at least worth pursuing. What if, let's just play devil's advocate here for a minute. What if somebody travels halfway across the state to be at a meeting and then they're presented with 30 minutes worth of 3 supervisors who say, no, go away and come back another day? That doesn't feel right either.
That's not the idea. The idea is, if you're there, you show up, you get to speak, period.
But you only get to speak, excuse me.
Well, just try, whoever's chairing that meeting would have to basically make a judgment of how he's gonna squeeze everybody in or whatever, and that's a hard thing to do, but you know, it could happen. And your scenario is pretty unlikely, I think, but. Are you giving me a cookie to be quiet?
Okay, ma'am, do you have any comment about what we were just talking about? Are you still with us?
I'm still here, Olivia Chastain.
Yes. Olivia, do you have anything to add? Have you been listening to our discussion here?
Yes, yep.
Are we headed in the right direction?
Yes, I don't want anyone to take it personally. I wasn't trying to insinuate that you're trying to take away public comments, but I just feel like changing the language from shall to may opens up the possibility that other people down the road could take that away, and that's what worries me. So I do like the discussion though. Thank you.
No, I spoke to your supervisor today because he was here at a meeting, and I didn't ask him if you ever called him or not, but I think your supervisor is very acceptable to what we're trying to do here, get the county more involved. So you're from the Pittsville area, correct?
Yes, yep, I am.
Yes.
So as we bog down here a little bit, I guess I'm gonna have to take my comment back that we're ready to move on to a resolution on Rule 12 today. I don't know if we are.
Yeah, we said that right from the start. You know what I mean? This should take some time and we should have some public input, and I appreciate Olivia there giving us that public input. So I think we'll move this on to our next meeting and discuss it further. This all started out because of being virtual. And Peter came to me and said, I think we're gonna have to do something with rule number 12 about how the public speaks and don't speak. So then we did get involved, and then our school teacher said, whoa, we're gonna do this. So, and that's what we're still working on. Okay. But we're not just passing it on. Thank you very much, Olivia, for coming on board with us. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to approval of vouchers. Oh, no, that we have one injury report. No, yeah, one injury report, and that's with a claim. That's with the, I suppose, a mailbox.
Siding.
Yeah, siding.
Yeah.
Highway 173.
Okay, so will we just review that if anybody's got any questions? Hearing none, we'll move on then to the county clerk has given us something here on the dog license on item number 5. It's the dog license and what he thinks about that. Are you on? Do you have anything to add, Trent? Oh, I don't see him on there. Okay.
Mr. Chair, I don't think that was, what you're looking at is something current. I'm not aware of that there's anything more on the dog license issue as far as the revenue shortfalls. Or?
Page 7.
Page 7.
Yeah, just
You're gonna carry over $97 or something.
Got it, so we did update it. I'm sorry, I wasn't aware of that.
You should have asked him public comment. You would have given it.
I didn't think he'd give me a chance.
No, did he talk under public comment?
Okay, the next item then is review and approval of vouchers from the committee, from our committee departments we overlooked.
So,
See, and yes, go ahead.
No, I seconded the motion that Supervisor Curry made.
And he made that to approve the vouchers as presented, okay?
Is that vouchers and reports?
Vouchers and reports. Janelle Lee left?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Well, you see Janelle's, I would like to discuss a little bit on Corporation Council's voucher. If anybody has any questions on, not voucher, but what he has to say about his report on the items he have, or does anybody have any questions on his report? I think on page 23 is his. Okay, hearing none other than fine. And then Criminal Justice Coordinator, did quite a lengthy report. There's a lot going on there.
for curiosity, I got a question on this report, on this ECT.
Oh, electroconvulsive therapy?
Yeah.
Something that
They still use that?
Very much so. The doctor's done it over 1,000 times.
so we become involved because it's not voluntary.
Correct. So, for instance, at 11:30 this morning, I had a hearing in front of one of the judges, and the person was detained up in Marshfield recently. It's probably been about their 15th detention. And don't worry, I'm not going to use any names. And the person, it was refusing to take medications. And so we were able to show that the person suffers from a mental illness, is a proper subject for treatment for that, presents a danger to themselves. So the court ordered a 10-day commitment, so a short-term commitment. But the person needs medications, and it doesn't help to just warehouse them. And so I had to make other showings with regards to a psychiatrist testifying that the person did not understand the benefits and detriments of the medication as applied to them. And if the medications are likely to be therapeutic, and we're not going to impede their ability to participate in future legal proceedings. Once I make that showing, then the other side has their opportunity. But once I make that showing, then the judge orders the person to receive psychotropic medication treatment involuntarily, so whether they like it or not. And so ECT is dealt with a little bit differently. And so statute specifically says you can't order ECT, a person has to agree to it after confirming with counsel. Well, a case years ago said, the court said years ago that that's not legal because you're denying people who don't understand what they're doing the benefit of ECT. And so if it's life-threatening, and it can be life-saving, and then a couple other criteria can be met, then the court can order ECT, electroconvulsive therapy, shock therapy, whatever you want to call it. And I had the court order that last fall with regards to an individual. The individual received a number of doses of treatments. They had received many, many in the past as well. And sometimes that's just therapeutic and other things aren't. They don't usually use it as a first recourse. It's more toward the end when other things aren't working. And so, and then if it works, great. And then the person says, I don't want to take them anymore, they're out in the real world type of thing, could be me, could be you, and then they get digressed and they get detained again, but then the court has the ability to address the issue. And so, so anyway, that's what's going on in that particular case from October. And so the question is going to be whether or not the court can order ECT. And I don't have a problem with legal issue, from a legal standpoint. I think I'm right. I think there's other cases kind of on all fours, I would argue, pretty much identical to what we're doing now, this case from 96 or whenever it was. So I think I've got a good case here, but it's something that the news media might pick up on and say, okay, well, down in this county and down in that county, they don't order ECT because the law doesn't allow it, number one. So number two, it's immoral and unethical and all sorts of other things. But here in Wood County, that's what they're up to. And so because it had political overtones, that's why I thought I should at least bring it to your attention. It's not me personally going out and saying, hey, let's give ECT to this person. It's the psychiatrist at Norwood Health Center saying, this is what we need for this person, and this is why, and then testifying to some legal standards that were set forth in the case. I'm sorry, I get into this stuff and then I throw it on, but that's the foundation.
Do we have the vouchers and
I do, Mr. Chairman, right here.
and vouchers and the resolution, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, moving on. I have a couple of questions on the report. What happened to the, I noticed we don't get a report now from victim witness. We always used to get a fine report from them. We didn't get a report this time from Register of Deeds. Is not in the package.
She was here.
Yeah, I did talk to her day before yesterday too.
Yeah.
I guess there was nothing.
Oh, okay, okay.
To report to me or that she wanted to report in person.
Yeah, okay. I just say, usually they have their reports in here and they aren't in here. And I think this is about the second or third time for victim witness. So I'm surprised at that because she's used to give us, reports. Okay, so we already have a motion to approve all those reports.
So move.
Okay, we already did that, Joe. I just, because Curry made the motion and Lightman seconded, so, and we did that. So it was
Okay,
unanimous.
I apologize then. It's very hard to hear the mumble back in the portable speakers that they're using. I apologize.
Okay.
Mr.
We
Chairman,
need
I
a
don't think we voted on it.
Yeah, we need to vote on
Okay, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
it.
Aye. Those opposed, say nay. They are approved, thank you. Okay. Okay, we'll move to number 9, presentation of correspondence and legislative issues. I'm gonna have to limit you on your groundwater report, but.
You can limit me, that's fine. I know you wanna limit me, but I just did wanna say that with regard to number 9, for the first time that I can recall, Senator Testa appeared virtually before the Golden Sands RC&D committee and was a part of that meeting. So I was impressed by that. You know, we have trouble getting anybody here to talk to our committee.
No.
Okay, with regard to the Citizens Groundwater Group meeting of Monday, March 15th, our speaker was Matt Kruger from Wisconsin Land and Water Conservation. I guess many of us would say Shane's boss. One of the interesting things, he talked about his organizations, one of the interesting things that I didn't realize is that Wisconsin is the only state that delivers local conservation through county cons and not as a part of a state district. That surprised me a little bit when he talked about that. Otherwise, he just spoke to us on the topic of coming together in support of clean water and resilient farms. And that was that cooperation which we passed a resolution on in Wood County already with regard to Clean Wisconsin, the Nature Conservancy, Wisconsin Land and Water, and the DBA having joined forces. He communicated to us that that became known to the public in December of last year, in December of 2020. But they've actually been at it for 2 years now, just behind the scenes. You want an abbreviated report, so next month, George Kraft, Professor Emeritus from UW-Stevens Point, is going to talk about 30 years of groundwater testing in Portage County and possibly expand that to the Central Sands. That meeting is Monday, April 19th. It's virtual. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I just want to make a couple of reports. Of the legislative issues with the National NACO, of all the things, I attended 4 of those meetings, and it's not very good attending them virtually. Things really got hammered up, and finally I called the office and said, why can't you make it? I did not know that all of a sudden we'd be talking to a senator or something like that. We had no chance to ask a question, but other people were asking a question and making decisions, which surprised me. I didn't listen one day just because I just was upset with the whole thing and tried even to get in. But I'm going to tell you, I don't know how many of you has listened in, but I don't think it was worth $500. Let me put it that way. But I'm putting in the per diems for the meeting that I did attend, but there's something got to be done much different than something like that. I mean, I don't have any trouble with the counties association, the towns association, sitting in on some of their meetings that are virtual. They're good, but the national ones, and then being on a different time was very confusing because they come to us as their time, and you possibly. I also attended the legislative breakfast that was held at the Bullseye Golf Club here, and our 3 representatives were there. It was a very good meeting. There was 22 in attendance. It was just a legislative breakfast, and they talked mostly about what's what's going on and what isn't going on in Madison, but, it was good information. We talked to, Representative Kine. He was, virtual, but the other, 4 people were there, so. Attended that, the NACO resolution. That's about it, so.
Chairman, can I share something
Yes.
also? Like you, I attended the Wisconsin Water Week virtually, and that was very difficult, as you said, with NACO. It was very difficult to get on. I struggled through one whole session, made it on about halfway through, and then the second one, which was in the same place, I mean, that was great. But I heard other complaints from other area people who tried to attend Wisconsin Water Week saying the same thing, that, you know, it's hard to work the virtual bugs out. It really is.
Well, who we were supposed to listen to couldn't even get on. You know, that's what upset me. We were waiting for some senator to talk, and he had trouble getting on, so somebody else spoke for him on the telephone, and it was not very well planned. So, and by the way, I think the county's association is going to be in person. So,
In La Crosse this fall.
I believe it is La Crosse, yeah. Anyways, 9 people can attend, I guess.
Yeah,
So.
some things are
Bill?
difficult. There's no-
Yes,
Yeah, the county's
Go ahead,
association
Lance.
right now, we're going full speed ahead with Live in La Crosse. I met with Steve O'Malley and Monica Cruz, their board chair, about a week ago. We fully anticipate that to be a live event. So information should be coming out on that shortly.
yeah. Lance, did you happen to attend any of the NACO legislative?
Yeah, I was in the WCA offices trying to monitor that. I agree with you from a virtual event standpoint, that was tough. When you're there in person, the committee meetings and the breakout meetings are big. So you almost need to be in the room. And then when you get to the general sessions where you have thousands in attendance, it's a valuable event when you're there, but I thought that it was difficult. And your point on senators, presidents, vice presidents, and speakers of the House, they're always late. That's one of the things we get used to when you're in DC. But no, I thought it was tough. I think it's a learning experience. I do think, though, our members who have joined, whether it be the county leadership meetings with the WCA on Monday mornings, or the regional meetings that we did virtually, worked out really well. But I think we've been fine-tuning that operation for a year now. So I think we're getting pretty good at it.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thanks,
Okay,
Bill.
moving on to the county board rules. We took there, attendance at meetings. Anybody attended a meeting that you think they should get paid for, or some people attended and shouldn't get paid for it? Okay, consider agenda items for next time.
So I think we have to put Rule 12 back on.
Yeah, okay.
But we did make some progress. At least we had some ideas.
And the next meeting is, I got a lot of complaints about Thursday meetings, so because of, the jail study going at the same time. And so how about a Friday at 9 o'clock in the morning?
Well, first Friday's the
Back to
7th.
work, back to work.
First Friday's a Saturday, so
No, it's the 7th.
it's the 7th is when we would have our meeting.
Well, that's available.
That's not April 7th, if I'm May 7th.
We're in April, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't know if you knew that.
yeah, it's April Fool's Day. Help us out.
So the next, May 7th is a Friday.
Right, okay.
May 7th is a Friday at 9
What,
o'clock.
morning or night?
Morning.
Morning or afternoon?
No, morning, 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock, yeah.
Yeah, I thought about that this morning when my wife said, when my mother, I don't know, must have been about.
So Joe, you all right with what we just said? If you're gonna be up north again, hunting moose or something, or wolves?
No,
You can get us by,
no, Good Friday will be gone. Today's Holy Thursday. There's nothing to determine on the biblical front. I should be good to go on May 7th at 0900 hours.
Okay.
Hey, Joe, one final question. What's the score?
Brewers up two? You didn't hear yet.
You did.
Joe, come on, you can tell us. We see you listening.
What's the score, Joe?
It's really to pick up gibberish in those portable speakers in the back of that room, especially when somebody from the north end is talking. I just can't make out what they're saying.
Yeah, it's a long way.
We would like to know the score of the ball game.
Minnesota's up 1-0.
Okay, we'll put that in the minutes.
All right.
I'll declare the meeting adjourned if there's no objections.
Okay. You see, we've been a little busy up in Marshall.
Yeah.
You guys